All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to HP200 Physical Wellbeing. This is our first lecture, and we would have done this in person or on Zoom had we not canceled classes. So I just sent out a announcement on EduCat, but basically we're already going to be behind 1 week since our class meets on Monday, and this year we are starting classes before Labor Day, so we're not going to have that class period either. So you are actually going to be responsible for this week's material on chapter 1. Most things are due, I guess half the stuff is due on Wednesday and half the stuff is due on Friday. And I know it might seem like a lot, but they'll go pretty fast. And some of them are just to get to know you guys. So I want to see kind of who you are. I want to hear from you guys, and I just want to see how well you've read this syllabus. So hopefully you've already read chapter 1, and this will not be any news to you. So I will just fly through this lecture, and you guys will be on your way. So anything that's in this lecture, you'll be responsible for this semester. We're not going to go over everything from chapter 1. I'm primarily interested in the 9 dimensions of wellness and SMART goals. So that's what we're going to talk about today. All right, so we're going to skip this activity. That was from last semester. Just don't even worry about it. Okay. So our 9 dimensions of wellness, we have physical wellness, emotional, intellectual, interpersonal, cultural, spiritual, environmental, financial, and occupational. So physical wellness, this includes your body's overall condition, how sick you are, how well you are, if you get sick quite often, if you don't, injury, anything like that. It also includes your fitness level, so how often you exercise or participate in sports, and it includes your ability to care for yourself. So everybody has a different level of self-care ability, just depending on our physical health and capabilities. So that'll differ from person to person. And so some behaviors that are included under this dimension of wellness can be eating well, exercising. So if you exercise more often, your physical health is generally better. Avoiding harmful habits like smoking or excessive drinking, practicing safe sex, recognizing symptoms of disease, engaging in regular checkups, so going to your doctor. And I know this becomes more important as you age, but it is still important to get your yearly checkups with your physician. And avoiding injuries. So we avoid injuries by taking rest days when needed and listening to our bodies if they're telling us they need a little bit of rest. All right, so emotional wellness. So this is also a really important aspect of wellness. It includes your ability to understand and deal with your feelings. It also includes self-acceptance, so personal satisfaction with yourself, how well you accept yourself for who you are, and kind of non-judgment. Self-esteem is how you think others perceive you. So the opposite of self-esteem would be self-consciousness. So self-esteem kind of goes hand in hand with confidence, which leads us to self-confidence, which is a mixture of self-acceptance and self-esteem. So, the more satisfaction you have with yourself, generally the higher self-esteem you'll have. So the more you'll think that others perceive you well. And this all plays into our emotional state, right? So the better we feel about ourselves, the better we feel overall, right? And so some behaviors that could lead to emotional wellness would be optimism, kind of seeing the good in situations. So having trust, not only just trusting ourselves and our decisions, but trusting others and their intentions, and trusting that everybody kind of means well and not thinking too hard about others' intentions. And this one is one of the most important ones, in my opinion, is finding solutions to emotional problems and seeking help if needed. So if you find that your emotional state is too much for you to handle, having the capacity to reach out to somebody, whether it be a friend, whether it be a family member, or even a mental health professional. And we definitely have those on campus as well as in the community. So we definitely have resources here if you do need help. So that is a really big aspect of emotional wellness, because sometimes we just can't tend to our emotional wellness by ourselves, and we need a little bit of professional help. So the next one is intellectual wellness. And so I assume the fact that you guys are all college students, that intellectual wellness is important to you because it includes challenging your mind. So engaging in classes that may be difficult, whether it be actually like intellectually stimulating, or maybe it just challenges your time management skills. It also includes learning and engaging in new experiences and challenges. So I think we can tick all those boxes off just being at school, and especially being in school during the coronavirus pandemic. So we're definitely having a lot of new experiences during this time. Some behaviors under intellectual wellness would be being open to new ideas. So engaging in classes like you want to learn, you're open to new ideas. Also having the capacity to question. So question your old beliefs, also questioning authority, and maybe questioning what you're told too, like not accepting everything that you're told just at face value. That kind of ties into the ability to think critically. So when you're presented with information, kind of assessing where it came from, what's the source, because there's a big difference between like a scientific article that's been peer reviewed and, your aunt's post on Facebook without without citing any sources, just kind of claiming that, a diet worked for her or whatever. There's also the motivation to master new skills. So maybe like going to trade school, that kind of thing. Having a sense of humor, like accepting your mistakes, like understanding that everything doesn't have to be taken seriously. That's a big one that I've learned recently. Having a sense of creativity and curiosity and wanting to be a lifelong learner. So even after you graduate from school, wanting to continue your education and being open to learning, even with that degree in your hand, like understanding that there are things that you still might not know and being open to learning that. All right, moving on to interpersonal wellness. So this is a particularly challenging aspect of wellness, especially recently because, with the whole coronavirus pandemic, the advice has been to stay isolated, not physically interacting face-to-face with people. So I know it's been challenging for me to feel strong in this area of wellness. So interpersonal wellness includes satisfying and supportive relationships and participating and contributing to the community. So I know engaging in community events has been challenging because really there haven't been very many. And so it might require being a little bit creative in our approach, doing a lot of things over Zoom, doing things outdoors with masks on, over 6 feet apart from people. Like it's still possible because this is such an important aspect of wellness that a lot of people are kind of feeling withdrawals from. Behaviors would be, developing communication skills, developing a capacity for intimacy, developing the ability to establish and maintain satisfying relationships. So that would be relationships with friends, with roommates, with colleagues, with family, like, romantic relationships, platonic relationships, like all of these things add together to create a web of interpersonal wellness. And the ability to cultivate a support system of friends and family. So this kind of ties back to emotional wellness, right? So if we have a support system and we have good interpersonal wellness, then that often lends to our emotional health. So moving on to cultural wellness, this includes how you interact with others who are different from you in terms of ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual orientation, age, and customs. So think about what would happen if you only interacted with people who were the same as you. Do you think you would grow? Probably not, right? Like we need people from all walks of life. And we do meet these people. Some areas are a little bit more diverse than others, but the chances are that if you go out into the community, you're going to meet somebody who's different from you in terms of maybe religion, maybe ethnic background, maybe they're from a different country, maybe they have a different sexual orientation. And I'm sure you meet people who are a different age than you. And so you've got to think about interacting with these these type of people who are different than us, it allows us to become a more dimensional person because we can understand where people come from, and we're a little bit more gentle with each other, and we can just be a little bit more accepting, and that's really important. So some behaviors would be creating relationships with those different from you. You know, joining clubs at school, you probably get a lot of like people who are different from you, but may have the same interests. And so, you know, understanding that we may be different in some of these areas, but at the same time, we can be really similar in others. And then another important thing is maintaining and valuing your own cultural identity. So, you know, both understanding where other people come from and yourself. And then last but not least, avoiding stereotyping based on differences. This is so important, guys. We cannot make assumptions about people just based on how different they are from us, like whether it be an outward difference or based on like where they're coming from, or like about their customs, maybe they're from a different country. We have to have some level of understanding, and that really ties into our wellness, because like if we understand the differences and we accept them, then we can lead to the overall cultural wellness of the areas that we live in and make everyone feel safe where they live, and that's really important. All right, moving on to spiritual wellness. So this includes possessing a set of guiding beliefs, principles, or values that give meaning and purpose to your life, especially in difficult times. So behaviors for that would be capacity for love, compassion, forgiveness, joy and fulfillment, caring for others, having a sense of meaning and purpose, and developing a sense of belonging to something greater than oneself. So you don't have to be part of an organized religion. I mean, some people are, and that definitely lends to spiritual wellness, but even having like a deep-seated set of beliefs and values that guide your life and, you know, give you a sense of peace and fulfillment and purpose, that is spiritual wellness. Like, again, it could be Buddhism, it could be Christianity, it could be Hinduism, you know, anything really, but definitely having like that aspect of spirituality definitely lends to your overall wellness. Okay, moving on. We have 3 more. Hang in there with me. Okay, environmental wellness. So this is something that's really important, especially as of recently, because we have some environmental concerns, and it does affect all of us. So environmental wellness includes the livability of your surroundings. So the health of the planet, the safety of the food you buy, and the absence or presence of violence in a community. So if you take where we live right now, Marquette, we are in a beautiful location with a lot of green space, and we have access to clean water. So we have Lake Superior, and we also have relatively clean Marquette City water, right? But in comparison, Flint, Michigan is landlocked, and they haven't had clean water since what, 2014? And so there are a lot of discrepancies between our environmental wellness in Marquette and those in Flint and other places that may or may not be as environmentally sound as it is up here. I know a lot of people really value the environment up here. And so some behaviors and qualities of environmental wellness would be having abundant, clean, natural resources. Lake Superior is one of them, you know, having all the parks and green spaces that we have up here. Maintaining sustainable development. So, you know, builders, developers, you know, practicing good, sustainable techniques. Recycling, composting. City of Marquette does pick up our recycling, which is great. We just have to separate it into fibers and rigids. And my roommates and I do practice composting, which can be added to an outdoor garden with, like, you know, plant material from like the foods we eat. So we just compost, you know, vegetable stuff, fruit wrappers, that kind of thing. And then reducing pollution and waste. So maybe not consuming as many single-use plastics, maybe decreasing the amount of chemicals that are in our hair products, hygiene products, that kind of thing. So all of these things influence the health of the environment around us, and in turn that influences our wellness because we live in this environment and we interact with it. All right, so financial wellness. This refers to your ability to live within your means and manage your money in a way that gives you peace of mind. So if you guys are anything like me, and at my high school, we were really not told or taught a whole lot about how to manage finances appropriately. And it makes a big difference because we go to college and we take out student loans to pay for classes. Maybe we get a job and we have some extra income. Like all of these things are important to kind of plan for. So when you take out student loans, like how much interest are you going to be paying? If you have an online bank account, you can actually go in and look at your expenditures and categorize them and kind of see month to month, like what percentage of your expenditures are in different categories. And that's really helpful just to kind of start planning a budget. So some behavior and qualities of financial wellness would be having a basic understanding of how money works. So, you know, this does take time. It's not going to all happen at once. And as you become more financially independent in your life, so maybe after college especially, you know, just really taking time to understand how to plan a budget based on like your monthly income. It also means, you know, living within your means. So obviously, like if you make $1,000 a month, you're obviously not going out and buying, you know, like a bunch of really expensive clothing, or, you know, you're not buying a brand new Lamborghini. You know, you're living within your means and, you know, budgeting well for that. Avoiding debt, especially for unnecessary items. This is a big one. I had a friend of mine who she took out extra student loans that more than what she needed for her undergrad classes, and just to be able to have some spending money. And she ended up being in a lot of debt because interest accrued on those extra loans. And so understanding how loans work and understanding how debt works really can impact your future. And then last one is saving for the future and for emergencies. I know the economy is not exactly super great right now for, you know, college age students, but, you know, anytime you get any kind of income, you know, putting aside a percentage of that just for a rainy day, just in case something happens, like if you need car repairs or unforeseen medical bills, highly recommend it. You know, maybe you get a graduation present from a parent or a family member. Highly recommend putting aside, you know, just a little bit of it. It'll help. Okay, last one. We have occupational wellness. This includes the level of happiness and fulfillment you gain through work. So you guys are all in school, and hopefully that means that you're pursuing a life where you feel some type of fulfillment with your occupation, right? So this means that you want to enjoy what you do. Maybe at your job, you want to feel valued by your manager. You want to feel like your work makes a difference. Maybe you want to build satisfying relationship with coworkers and take advantage of opportunities to learn and be challenged. Like you're spending a lot of time at your job in the future, and you need to feel like you're putting a lot of work in, but you're also getting a lot out of it. Otherwise, that leads to burnout, right? So that is a big aspect of wellness. Okay, moving on, we're going to talk about goals really quickly. So we're going to talk about SMART goals. Throughout the semester, I'm going to be mentioning SMART goals, and you need to understand what that acronym stands for. So the S in SMART stands for specific. You want your goals to be specific so that you can keep track of them well. And specific goals, it doesn't mean, oh, well, I want to get better at running. No, that's not specific. So a specific way to get better at running would be, I want to improve my 5K time from 30 minutes to 25 minutes, right? So that is a specific change in time, right? You also want your goals to be measurable. So you want to be able to kind of like track your goals and like give it like a period of time or whatever. So here's another running example, I guess. So, okay, let's say I want to run for 20 minutes a day, 3 days a week. So that 20 minutes is measurable, right? I can set a timer on my watch, or I can just, you know, look at my watch and see when the 20 minutes is up, but I am measuring out 3 periods of time of 20 minutes to run. The goals also need to be attainable. So obviously, if you've never run before, you would start at a lower, like maybe I want to run, walk. So like so let's say like if you've never been a swimmer before, you wouldn't say, oh, I just want to go out and swim 3 miles 3 days a week, right? Like that's really, really hard. You want to do it as something that you can actually accomplish. So, you know, if you've been kind of running a little bit, but you want to just get more regular at it, so maybe you've only been running 1 day a week. So setting a goal of like 3 times a week for 20 minutes, that would be something that would be attainable. So you also want them to be realistic, right? So that's in terms of short and long-term expectations. So, you know, obviously, like if you were like, oh, well, I've never run before and I want to run a marathon next week, is that realistic? Maybe you might be able to get through the marathon if you're a natural athlete, but the reality is that it would be really challenging and it may discourage you from setting goals in the future. So you want to maybe set a goal that, okay, so I'm going to run 3 times a week for 20 minutes in the goal that in 2 months I run a 5K, right? So that is realistic. And then time frame. So I kind of tied that in with the last example, but so, you know, I want to run a 5K in the next month or 2. And so I'm going to practice running 3 times a week for 20 minutes and eventually work up to a 5K. And then maybe I can play around with doing it quicker or adding in different workouts. All right. And that's it for our lecture today. That is the only material in chapter 1 that you are gonna be responsible for this semester. Hopefully you read the chapter, and again, if you haven't already, then I would recommend going back and doing so before you do the assignments that are due on Friday. Next week, before next class period, so next Monday, I will upload in an announcement saying like where we'll be meeting. We will be meeting at 3 o'clock. It just depends on the university whether or not we're going to be meeting face to face. And of course, like I said in the informational email that I sent out a few days ago, those of you who want to attend class synchronously via Zoom, I will set up a weekly Zoom meeting for that time. You just need to let me know by emailing me if you do or do not want to. Well, you just have to email me if you want to attend via Zoom. I'm trying to be, you know, understanding of everybody's preferences for being online or in person. So, all right, guys. Well, that's it for now. And stay tuned. I'll be uploading chapter 2's lecture hopefully before too long. I would like you guys to watch that before next Monday, so you be ready with the chapter 2 material by then. Okay.